Today, we're going to talk about ever-evolving threats to your data and how Druva's managed data detection and response solution is protecting your backup data 24/7. Before we do that, let's take a step back and understand how cyber attacks work. Cyber attacks, as you can see here, are a complex multi-stage process that a threat actor often spends a lot of time, resources, and money in terms of planning these attacks and executing on them. So if you walk through the various stages of this cyber attack, they start with reconnaissance, which is understanding the target environment. What kind of hardware, what kind of software do you have, what kind of vulnerabilities could you exploit? Weaponization, which is crafting a piece of malware for that environment, for the software in question that could have particular vulnerabilities. Once you have that piece of malware, delivering that to the target environment through means like a phishing email campaign. And once you have the target that clicks on that phishing email, that's when you have exploitation, where that malware can run in that environment, exploit that vulnerability in that environment, and then be able to install itself in the target environment. So at this point, the attacker has a footprint in that environment, and they can leverage that footprint for command and control. So they essentially have a communication channel into that environment that they can use to perform reconnaissance. What are the other assets in an environment? What kind of critical data is there? They could leverage that communication channel to act on their objectives, which could range from being able to bring that network down and disrupt business operations, being able to exfiltrate data out so that they could ask them charge a ransom, or destroying data by encrypting all of the data. So this was the stages of a cyber attack. And if you ask the question, what about backups? Backups could be a part of this. Traditionally, threat actors are focused on the primary environment, but increasingly, threat actors are focused on backups, because if you don't have backups, then you're predisposed to paying the ransom. What could threats to backups be? It could be a number of different things. You could leverage compromised credentials for your backup admin to be able to do things like exfiltrate data out using the restore functionality. You could simply try and delete backups. Or you could make configuration changes which could affect things like how long do you actually retain your backup data for. So the question you want to be asking yourself is, who's actually protecting your last line of defense and protecting your backups? Very often the answer to this question is it should be the security team that's responsible for cyber defense 24/7. But security teams today are dealing with a number of challenges where they're making very hard trade-offs around coverage. Do I need EDR everywhere? They have exploding SIM costs. They're trying to answer questions like, do I really need to feed those backup logs into my SIM and increase those SIM costs? So very often you might have a situation where you have a gap, you have risks where you don't have visibility into your backup environment. So that is the problem statement. So what we're going to do now is change gears and actually talk about Druva's solution to this problem, which is managed data detection and response. Druva was born in the cloud, and we've invested significantly into a real-time cloud operations pipeline to monitor the reliability, availability, and security of our cloud. We talked about problems around threats to your data earlier. I'm going to walk through our solution and how we look at protecting your data. We essentially call this managed data detection and response, or managed DDR for short. Think of it as Druva's own SOC team and IR team, augmenting your SOC teams and IR teams, but with a focus on your backup data, where we're watching your backup data 24/7 by 365. What I'm going to now do is illustrate the solution with a real customer example. What you see out here is a real customer incident timeline, and I'm going to walk through this timeline with how we actually help protect this customer's data. So this customer in question was leveraging our backup products around protecting their end user data, specifically data sitting on the edge, sitting in the cloud on applications like Microsoft 365. So just like the multiple stages of attack we saw earlier, the threat actor in question obtained a footprint into the customer environment and compromised Active Directory, was able to leverage that footprint to be able to take over their M365 email system, was able to leverage compromised credentials to try and attempt to compromise backups itself, And then post that, they were able to implant malware on all of their edge devices, based on which the infection spread to the cloud as well. And pretty soon their business was impacted, where all of the data sitting on their end user footprint on the edge devices as well as in the cloud was encrypted. Unbeknownst to the threat actor, Druva actually detected this threat in real time, where we detected these backup compromise attempts in real time. Our cloud operations team swung into action right away. Our incident response team started investigating these alerts, triaging these alerts, correlating with other sources of threat telemetry we have, and were able to verify that this was indeed a genuine alert. And once we reached out to the customer, and the customer actually confirmed that this was an incident, Druva was the first vendor to actually alert them that there was something going on. They initiated an incident response plan, and Druva actually put in place rapid response playbooks around safeguarding customers' data, which we've developed from years of experience in terms of dealing with such incidents, where we can actually lock down the customer's tenant, protect the data, implement what's called staggered deletion protocols in place to be able to safeguard their data, investigate the threat actor activity in the backup environment along with their incident response teams, in this case, CrowdStrike and Microsoft. Once we had determined an incident timeline, we started determining remedial measures, or given the scope of impact, how do we drive the attacker out? How do we regain access to some of these systems, and put together what's called a cyber recovery plan. As part of this, what's available to customers and where we help customers with is expedited cyber recovery support around how do you recover cleanly, safely, and losslessly at scale. Now, and then the customer is able to roll back terabytes of data that was deleted and be able to get their business back up and normal in a course of few days. Now, this is just one small example of attacks we see day in and day out, which we help customers with. We've developed these managed DDR capabilities through years of helping such customers with these attacks. Managed DDR is built into the Druva Cloud platform today and is available at no additional charge to customers. If you're interested in learning more about these capabilities, please reach out to your account team as well as Druva support to be able to understand how to integrate these capabilities into your downstream security operations and incident response workflows. Thank you for watching.